What's up, everybody? TJ here. Real quick before we get started with the episode, I'm testing out a new feature called Fan Mail, which is where you can actually text me from the episode that you're listening to. So as you're listening to this, go over to the episode description, and right there at the beginning, you're going to see some text that says, send me a text message. Go ahead, click that. Let me know what you think about the podcast so far. Let me know of any questions, concerns, anything you might have. I love to hear from you. So go ahead, hit that up. I'm excited to read your text, and let's get started with the episode.
The data is showing that 100 firefighters kill themselves every year. 100 firefighters kill themselves every year. These are just the ones that are reported that we know was from basically stress within the fire service. We're not talking about some off-duty firefighters who go to the bar and maybe have too many drinks because they were on a bad call yesterday, get in their car, drive home, get in a car accident. They're drinking because of the bad call yesterday. We're not putting them into the 100 suicides per year, but I think we should. You think, oh, it was just because they were drinking. That's not what it was. That was the tool that pushed them just far to give them the courage to do this.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
We have a few of the older guys that I personally work with they're not even wearing FR material. They're wearing, I think some of them are wearing like Dickies, which I've tried to, these are guys that are, 6 months to a year away from retirement. You're not going to change them. They've been eating the same breakfast for 20 years. You're not going to convince them to buy a different pair of pants. A ton of people in the department that I work for, they do buy FILO. They are on uniform allowances. They do buy the FILO apparel pants and the shirt. They to me, they look the best of all the guys. Of course, it's a little
hell yeah.
But to go back and let's go back one thing with what you said about the critics, because I think that's an important question, and that's something really important to hit on. So I believe in let's look at the full picture here. Are we marketing on PFAS free? 100% we are. We absolutely are. Are we high ranking on Google when you look for PFAS free Nomex? Absolutely we are. Are we also marketing on quicker shipment times? Absolutely we are. Are we also marketing on more affordable pricing? Absolutely we are. All of these things we are marketing on. All we're trying to do is gain awareness and show the firefighters and the fire departments there's a better option out there that's safer, more affordable, and quickly to deliver to you. These are our foundations and our pillars that we built our company on. So of course we're marketing on it. So if you want to be critical of that, then are you telling me that we shouldn't market on this and we shouldn't show that there's a safer option? You want to put these guys with an apparel that has PFAS in? Because we're in a free market here. The other competition could market on that as well if they want to. That would be my long answer to the critics. And I'd love to hear what their answer would be on that. But we haven't had any critics say anything like that to us.
Well, I'm going to turn that clip into a reel for Instagram, and I guarantee you the critics are going to come out of the woodwork, because they always do. It is amazing watching the comment section devolve into just absolute mayhem over things as innocuous as sleep or, mental health or any of those things. If you're not... Yeah, it's exciting. I love watching it just turn into absolute pandemonium.
Absolutely.
Now that I mention, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say that the whole mental health thing kind of pushes me to talk about your involvement with Next Rung, which I think would put us talking now about FILO Fuel. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So FILO Fuel was brought on. It's our coffee brand that we brought on specifically to be able to help support Next Rung. So right now we're running a campaign called Save the Next 100. You can find Save the Next 100 at filofuel.com. And what that does is for every coffee canister sold, we don't use bags. We made these little round canisters. We call them 12-ounce hydrants. And for every one of those sold, a portion of the proceeds go to support Next Rung. Next Rung is an absolute phenomenal organization, nonprofit, that helps mental illness within the fire service. PTSD, mental illness, mental health. If you're a current firefighter, former firefighter, anywhere in the fire service, they're not going to turn anybody away. If you're in the healthcare field or in law enforcement, they're just a phenomenal organization to help people that that might go through some traumatic situations that they just need to talk to somebody. So we started when we were in our endeavors of finding a manufacturer for our apparel. We stumbled upon a Nicaraguan farm that makes incredible coffee. This is obviously biased. I drink it now, but incredible coffee. It's straight from the farm. And we said, we need to bring this on. We wanted to do something to give back. And that's when I met rekindled a relationship with an old friend of mine I've known for over about 3.5 decades. We went to Sunday school together, and his name's Caleb Gressman. He's the peer support director for Next Rung. And him and I we got to talk, and I said, this is divine intervention. This is where we need to give proceeds back to for the coffee.
I love it because that's been one of the tenets of Keep the Promise. The whole purpose of Keep the Promise, the community, the podcast, is to build resilient and well-rounded firefighters, meaning we go beyond the strategy and tactics. You and I have talked about it, and that includes the mental health side of things, which we have seen come to the forefront as of the last few years, which is amazing. But I think most of us, for the majority of our careers, it was that aspect of the job that just got pushed aside. It's like, hey, are you okay? That was a pretty traumatic call. Yeah, dude, I'm good. Okay, cool. Talk to somebody if you need to. And then that was the end of it. Or people would have the idea of just ripping shots about whatever traumatic experience they had.
Yep. So
seeing organizations like Next Rung and seeing you guys support it kind of gives me hope for not even just my generation or the one after, but like the ones that are going to come after the fact. That way we're not dealing with, I mean, shit, I'll put it out there. I was super good friends with Sean Yarborough from the St. Augustine area, and he gained notoriety a couple weeks ago because I don't know what the hell happened. He snapped, shot his wife, shot himself, and all of us who knew him were like, what the fuck? What could we have done? Did the fire service? I think the fire service led to it. We can attribute a lot of our issues to the fire service. So having the support coming from Next Rung and having you support Next Rung kind of for the long term, for that long time horizon, is kind of gives me the warm and fuzzies.
Yes. So I choose my words very wide and very carefully when I talk about this, because when I talk about Next Rung, I don't want to ever come off like a sales pitch. I don't want it to be an elevator sales pitch, because it's not. That's not what this is about. Okay, this isn't about somebody trying to become a coffee company. This is about supporting an organization that is supporting the people who are going on these traumatic calls. The general public doesn't always know what the firefighters endure on a regular basis at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's not going and getting, these sweet little fuzzy kitties out of trees with the ladder truck like you see on movies. You're seeing things that can be traumatic. So the thing with Sean out of the St. Johns County area is we'll never know what was the final straw that broke the camel's back in this case. But everybody's questioning themselves. What could I have done differently? What could I have done? It's not just his friends. It's not just his families. It's the guys he was on shift with, the guys that were his opposite that he relieved, the guys that relieved him and he went home, and the guys he worked with the day before, and then the guys who came in to let him go home that day to go and do that. And then his kids are in, and her kids aren't there. Like, it's a terrible scenario in all ways, and we have to stop that. So we use the term save the next 100 because right now the data is showing that 100 firefighters kill themselves every year. 100 firefighters kill themselves every year. These are just the ones that are reported that we know was from basically stress within the fire service. We're not talking about, and some of these analogies that I'm going to use may seem really bold to some people, but this is what I believe, is that we're not equating some off-duty firefighters who go to the bar and maybe have too many drinks because they were on a bad call yesterday, get in their car, drive home, get in a car accident. They're drinking because of the bad call yesterday. We're not putting them into the save the next 100. We're not putting them into the 100 suicides per year, but I think we should, or people who, maybe you think they were at the bar and they just jumped off of a bridge. Well, you think, it was just because they were drinking. That's not what it was. That was the tool that pushed them just far to give them the courage to do this, but that's not what it does. That's why Next Rung is so special, and that we knew there was something we had to do. So again, I don't want to sound sales pitchy when I say this. We started the apparel company to make you physically safer. We wanted to make sure that you weren't bringing in any type of inherent danger, any carcinogen that wasn't necessary. The coffee side of things we brought because we wanted to help on the mental aspect of things. Not that we're personally doing it, we're just giving the tool. And with that said, let me tell you why we picked coffee as well, because this is something I think is important. The reason we picked coffee is asking for donations from, as you've said, a blue collar worker. You may not have disposable income. So we thought, instead of starting a campaign and just asking for money, why don't we try to just have individuals substitute something they're already drinking? Coffee, the majority of people drink coffee. It's just a fact. Not everybody. I understand there's some people who don't drink coffee, but there's a lot of people in the country who drink coffee. So instead of drinking this brand or that brand, just drink FILO and help give back to Next Rung. That was our whole point. We're not a coffee company. We're an apparel company who's trying to help an organization like Next Rung. That's it.
You answered the question I had. It's like, why coffee? And it makes total sense, because the donation side of thing is, yeah, you might get some, but it's for the effect that we want to make, for the long-term gains that we want to make within the fire service, which require money. It's impossible. I remember for years, a bunch of friends and a bunch of coworkers and colleagues and I would grow out our hair back before I started losing it all and shave it off while collecting donations for St. Baldrick's. And I think over a span of 10 years, I'm pretty sure we broke 1 million over a span of 10 years with a bunch of people. And that was cool. Like, again, grassroots effort, and it was a lot of work asking for donations. You're just annoying your friends and family members. And I eventually came to the same realization you did, that it's much easier to just sell something that is going to help your customers and take proceeds from that and support your cause. You can scale a company, you can scale a product, you can scale that marketing way easier and way more effectively than you can donations. And I do the same thing within Keep the Promise. That there's the whole Patreon community where you sign up for a monthly membership. And the goal has always been, hey, once we have these 150 monthly subscribers, we're going to take a huge chunk of that and give back to firefighters who may be at the Center for Excellence, who may have gotten injured, who may have fallen in heart, whatever it might be. Hey, listen, this is just going to help you out until you get back on your feet. It might be good for the mortgage. It might be good for car payments. It might be good for groceries, whatever it might be. But here you go. And it's so much easier and so much more meaningful when the consumer, the customer, if you will, gets something in return.
That's literally, you said it exactly the way we tried to draw it up. So it's also important to note, in the Save the Next 100 campaign, we have a spot on the website where if you don't drink coffee, or if you're just absolutely set on drinking the coffee that you currently have, then you can also donate. So it wasn't that it wasn't like some people said, well, you're just trying to sell coffee. Not necessarily. Like if you believe in Next Rung and you listen to what we're saying, if you want to help, go donate. Just go donate to them. And we have had people actually donate. It's been incredible. So, and hopefully it shows people who are listening, we're not just about the selling the coffee aspect. Again, we're an apparel company. We're bringing on the coffee to help the mental aspect of things in the fire service. Because also everybody who, even if you, let's just say the critics who say you're just trying to sell coffee. Nope. Because we're trying to bring, our major goal here is to bring awareness to Next Rung. Every time a critic goes and looks at that page just to hate on us, they also saw Next Rung as well. And that's doing exactly what we were trying to do, is bring awareness to the Next Rung organization, the Next Rung logo. And if you actually scroll down to the bottom of the page too, you'll see the other, I think ourselves plus 24 other firefighter-owned companies that are also part of the Save the Next 100 campaign, who bought into what we were trying to do for them. All who know Next Rung personally. I believe you know John from Rescue One CBD.
That's my boy.
There's your boy. He's part of it. Flame Decon, just to name a few of them. I'm going to do some name drops here. Fire Wipes. Who else? Fire Innovations. My boy JC out in California. We got Cody over at BA Shields. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Griffin over at Stash Salt. All these guys. Ryan from Conant Bunker Gear. But these guys all got involved. They all believed in what we're trying to do. It's not about one of us trying to push a product. It's all of us collecting to try to get awareness for Next.
Hey friends, I want to take a quick moment to ask you to support the show by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite platform. Your support means the world to us, and it helps spread the message to even more people. We've gotten thousands and thousands of listeners, and those high ratings help our show become more discoverable, allowing us to reach even more listeners and make an even greater impact. So, if you've enjoyed what you heard so far, please take a moment to leave a rating and a review. It only takes a few seconds, and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the show.
And it's about to be 25 companies, because I'm definitely going to get involved in that.
All right, now we're about to move on to 25. Then.
We're about to move to 25.
I love it.
Let's talk, now that we're talking business, because it really scratches an itch that I enjoy. Tell me about some lessons that you've learned from the entrepreneurial side of things as it pertains to the fire service.
Ooh.
And I mean, you don't have to do all of them, because we would be here for the next 8 hours.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, one of the biggest lesson that I've learned from the entrepreneurial side in the fire service is, do not get discouraged by the critics and the haters. Keep focused on your goal, and keep focused with a positive attitude, because for every one positive feedback you get from, and I tell you who's the worst, is coworkers. The one positive feedback you get from a coworker, you'll get 5 negative people. You'll never find more critics than the person sitting across the table from you, who will tell you this isn't going to work, you can't do this. And if you let them get in your ear, you'll never start anything you really want to start. If you're passionate, and I told Ryan from Conant Bunker Gear this earlier this morning, that you can see the passion coming out of it. It's like pouring out of it every time he talks about it. And if you have that kind of passion, and when you talk about something, there's a level of intensity or passion, you can say, to me, it's the same term, that you stay the course, and you keep plugging forward, and you don't let the critics get in your way.
It's always those shift mates. It is always the ones who know us the best, who know that big red button to damage us the most, who will always, and I choose to believe that a lot of it comes from the fact that we know each other so well, not from malice, and also from the fact that the fire service is, I've used the expression, it's like trying to steer the Titanic with a popsicle stick. It is so hard to change that inertia, that that momentum that has been going for hundreds of years. You're not going to change people's minds. The dudes that you work with who have been eating the same breakfast for 25 years, you're never going to change that. No. And it's hilarious that you mentioned the coworkers, because I've experienced the same thing. It's that one cuts deep. How do you deal with not just the critics, but I'm more interested in the fact that you're still on the line. You are running FILO Apparel. You are running FILO Fuel. How do you not go insane doing all of those things, and you have a family?
So that's a great question. Some days I feel like I'm running crazy, but with that said, that's an easy question for me to answer. I don't even have to think about it. Okay. One, I have an incredible support system. My wife is incredible. She's involved in this company as much as possible. The two other owners, they're involved in as much as possible. When one of us is, we try to use the same mentality that we use in the fire service. Like, we're a team here, we're a crew. Just as the same story that I told about my father with the crew that came in the beginning of this. We're a team, we're a crew. We pick up each other when we're down. We're not always going to have, not everybody's going to have a good day every day. Someday you're just going to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. It just happens. But if the other people are also have positive mentalities, they're also passionate about what they do, we support each other. That's what we do. That's what the fire service is here for. We're here to support each other, our brothers and sisters. And that's how I get to answer your question. I get through it with the team that I'm associated with. My family is some of my biggest supporters, and I could not do this without them. And so that's the first part to answer your question. The second part is I'm very passionate and intense about what I do. I do keep a positive mentality, because I know deep down this is going to make a positive impact on this industry and the world, for that matter. We haven't gotten to where we ship outside of the country, so I know using world is a big term, but in the fire service in this country, we're going to make a really positive impact, and we're going to be able to leave behind a legacy that means.
You just teed me up for the next question now that we're talking about legacy.
Okay.
What do you envision for FILO Apparel and FILO Fuel in the long term, in the, maybe the 10, 15 year range? And when it comes to those goals, what's the plan on getting there?
The goal is to basically be, the ultimate goal is to be in every firehouse across the country. That's a huge goal. But if we make it halfway, that's still a great goal that we reached.
Yeah, aim big.
Right. I mean, our whole goal is to be as many firehouses as possible. And the way we do that is by being on podcasts with people who believe in what we're doing, just like yourself, TJ. Like, we want to talk with people who have connections with the fire service, just like we do, that can sit around and have kitchen table talk, and just spread the word out there. That's all we're trying to do. My goal is to be to work FILO until I just physically can't work anymore. I'm 41 years old. I'll be 42 in November. My goal is to be running this company as long as possible.
I dig it. Now, what about the fire service? Because you've been around for a while. You've seen the changes. What do you think we're going to be seeing the next 10, 15, 20 years? And pick your poison. We can be talking about strategy tactics, but I kind of want to steer you towards the PFAS stuff, the gear, the mental health.
So what I hope happens within the fire service, I will hit on what you just said on the PFAS, the mental health, and all that stuff. I think that's important. I think it's a long road ahead for the fire service. As you've probably heard this saying, firefighters hate change, and firefighters also hate the way it is. So it's like you're just beating your head up against the wall. What I really hope happens is that we can start in the fire service, we can start being proactive and not react. I'd love to start seeing more proactive measures within the fire service, our tactics. And I mean, I can only imagine how many people thought being proactive with sprinkler systems was something crazy, because, well, the fire's not going to be burning when we get there. So how are we going to fight the fire? They're just going to get rid of the fire service altogether because of these sprinkler systems. But in all reality, we saved probably millions of lives due to sprinkler system. So what I would like to see is more accountability, stationware on bunker gear, on any type of protective level of equipment. So obviously I have a biased opinions towards stationware because that's what we do. Mental health, I would like for it to stop being a check in the box within the fire service and be something that we take more seriously. Because in my opinion, one person committing suicide is not okay. It's just not okay. Okay. So I think we need to be more proactive in what we put our firefighters in throughout the world. And I think we need to be more proactive on how we're handling their mental health and not just looking at it as a check in the box for accreditation or something to show someone to make sure we get our budgetary dollars.
I love the check in the box setup.
That's probably going to piss a few people off when they hear that, but it's the truth. I've seen it happen over and over again.
Buddy, the last physical that I had to do for the department, the physicals always include the mental health questionnaire.
Yep.
And I'd been feeling down, so I answered truthfully. And the doc came and started talking to me and asking the questions to the point that I'm like, hey, what's the highest score that I can get on that? And what is it going to tell you? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, start asking me the questions, and went down the list, and I answered all of them truthfully. I'm trying to get an A+ type thing because I've always been a good student. And I think I got like 8 or like 9 out of 10 of the markers. And the whole point of it, after we talked about it, she's like, oh, I think you might have a little bit of depression. I'm like, and that's it? Like, what do we do now?
I told you that.
What comes next? And she's like, oh, well, like maybe like talk to somebody. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. This whole thing is just for that accreditation. Like, yeah, of course, I've been seeing a therapist for years. Like, I know that I have stuff to work through, but like, ma'am, we're just going through the motions here.
Checking the box,
trying to get that high score. And my shiftmates were like, dude, you're going to get in trouble. I'm like, whatever. Like, I'll be okay. I'm not, just because I'm trying to get a high score, let me live.
Yeah. So this is one of those things. This is why I'm so passionate about pushing Next Rung as well, because they're not just a check in the box. I've seen it in departments that I've been at where you could just like the story you just told, you can tell it's them just kind of going through the motions. With Next Rung, though, it's not. They're there to talk to you. They're there to listen. They're an anonymous source, but you may be in Baltimore, Maryland, but you may be talking to somebody in Arizona. And these are just hypotheticals, but you're talking to someone who is in this industry and can relate to what you're saying. But the likelihood of you ever running into this anonymous person, this isn't a person that you're going to go back and have breakfast with tomorrow at your local Cracker Barrel. You know what I mean? Like, you're never going to run into this person. Or, here's better yet, if you're a female firefighter, why would you want to be on a panel and talking to a panel of a bunch of male firefighters? Maybe you don't want to talk to them. But if you call into Next Rung, you can speak to a female firefighter who you can potentially relate and who's potentially gone through the same ups and downs and ebbs and flows as you have. That's why this right here, where I'm going with this, is to me a testament of the individuals in the fire service. There's always been a problem with the mental aspect of the fire service. The fire departments themselves, they obviously weren't going to change it. They were just going to keep checking the box. So what happened? A group of firefighters said, enough is enough. We'll fix this. And they did it in an amazing way with Next Rung. Same thing with the apparel side of things. I'm tired of overpaying being an unsafe apparel, well, if no one's going to give us the option, we'll just do it ourselves. And that's what I love about it, is you give a firefighter, you frustrate them enough, somebody will figure this out and they'll do it the way it needs to be done.
100%. There's no better way to encapsulate that.
Yeah.
Final question. What is the one failure that you cherish the most?
The one failure that I cherish the most, that would have to be, I cherish it the most because it molded me into who I am today. The one failure, though, is when I was 22 years old, I had a failed lawn care business.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And I worked that thing from sun up to sundown, and it was not going to succeed. But it gave me a work ethic that I at that point I said I never want to feel that type of failure again, and it pushed me to the man I am today.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Coming back from that failure and those lessons learned and making something incredible out of it. Sean, where can we find more about all things FILO and all things Next Rung?
So currently right now you can go to FILOapparel.com. That's FILOAPPAREL.com, or FILO Fuel, FILOFUEL.com, FILO Fuel, and FILOapparel.com. Or you can find us on our social handle, which is FILO.USA.
And I'll link all of those in the show notes. Brother, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me today and just, get your story out there. It's a good one, and it's something that's going to leave a lasting impact on the fire service in so many realms, and that I am honored to be able to spend this time with you and folks like you who will change our world for the better.
Absolutely. TJ, you thank us for doing what we do. We really thank you for doing what you're doing. We appreciate you getting out there. The guests that you have on your show are incredible, and they really are special people. But you're a special person also for hosting everybody and giving people the platform to give their stories and let your listeners hear what they have to say. So thank you so much. And it holds true to the title, Keeping the Promise. So thank you so much for that, TJ.
We covered a lot of ground in this episode, from the staggering statistics about firefighter suicides to the inspiring work being done by Next Rung and the innovative initiatives that Sean and the FILO team are partaking. Mental health and safety in the fire service are crucial topics that need constant attention and action. And Sean's journey and dedication to making a difference really underscore that importance of community, of passion, and of resilience. So thank you for sticking around with us today and listening to both of these episodes. Again, if you found some value in today's discussion, please consider leaving a rating and a review, and think of how you found this podcast. Maybe somebody mentioned it to you. Maybe you saw it online. So pay it forward. Help a fellow firefighter find value in what we're doing here. Your support means the world to me, and it helps spread our message and reach more listeners. And if you're new here, you may not know that at the end of every chunk of episodes, if you will, we do a special shout out to those members who just joined our Patreon community. And what is a community? The Keep the Promise Patreon community is a place where like-minded firefighters gather and become even more well-rounded and resilient firefighters. You get daily workouts, you get a weekly mantra meditation, not medication, and all sorts of other insane, crazy early access pieces of content and value to make you a much better firefighter. The way that I've been crafting it is basically the community that I wish I had when I first started in the fire service. So check it out at joinkeepthepromise.com. But without further ado, let's give a shout out to our two newest members. First and foremost, Ken from Brazelton, California, and Chase from Nashua, New Hampshire. Ken and Chase, thank you guys so much for joining, and you, my dear listener, for taking the time to stick around for this episode. As always, be good, be safe. I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, it's TJ here from Keep the Promise. As you know, this podcast is all about helping firefighters become more resilient and well-rounded so that they can be a force for good within their fire department and their community. But today I want to talk to you about something that's just as important, and that is supporting firefighters who are going through tough times. When one of our fellow firefighters is off work because they have to go to the Center for Excellence, they have to go to rehab, they have mental health issues, or they have other health issues, it really takes away their support system and it wreaks havoc on their finances and their family's finances. And many times, these brothers and sisters are left to struggle alone, away from their support system and the people who love them without the resources they need to recover. That's why I'm setting a bold new goal. That is to reach 150 total patrons on Patreon so that we can start a fund to help firefighters and their families during these challenging times. And I need your help to make it happen. With your support on Patreon, we'll be able to provide financial assistance to firefighter families who are battling things like addiction, depression, and cancer. We're going to help alleviate the financial strain that can come with being away from the fire department so that our brothers and sisters can focus on healing and recovering. Now, reaching 150 total patrons is a big goal, but I believe that we can do it together. And when we do, we'll be able to make a real difference in the lives of those who serve and protect alongside us. So, if you're not already a patron, I invite you to join us today. Head over to joinkeepthepromise.com and sign up today. Again, that is joinkeepthepromise.com. And if you already are a patron, thank you so much for your support. You'll be receiving some exclusive rewards and perks as a way of saying thanks. Together, let's show our fellow firefighters that we've got their back just like they always have ours. Thank you for listening. Let's get started with the episode.